Plant foods, lots and lots of carbs. So Lauren Cordain, I got a question for you. How come the real Paleolithic man is nothing like your Paleolithic man? Why is the real paleo diet nothing like the diet that you prescribe in your book, the Paleo Diet? Healthy, fit populations throughout history have subsisted and got primarily the bulk of their calories from plant foods, from carbohydrate-rich plant foods. The Chinese, the Japanese, the Taiwanese, the Thai people, pretty much all of the East Asian countries, what do the people subsist on? Mostly rice, sometimes rye, but mostly rice and other carbohydrate plant foods. That was the bulk of their calories. That's what made their army strong. That's what made their people strong for centuries. So if we move to the other part of the globe, if we look at the Incas got the bulk of their calories from potatoes. And the Incan warriors, before they go into battle, would have heaps and heaps of quinoa. And if you're still not convinced, the Mayans and Aztecs of Central America were known as the people of the corn because they ate so much corn. It was their staple. The ancient Egyptians thrived on wheat. And various cultures in South America and the Caribbean subsisted and got most of their calories from sweet potatoes. So what does this all mean? So what does this mean? So this means that over the last 13,000 years, at least 13,000 years, we humans have gotten the bulk of our calories. And when I mean bulk, I mean upwards of 90% of our calories from plant foods. Carbohydrate-rich plant foods, low fat, low protein. And you might be saying, wait, but what about those guys? What do you mean those guys? You mean those guys? Yeah, I mean those guys. So if we talk about the Inuits, or any other culture that gets most of their calories from meat, we know that these cultures aren't healthy. They're not healthy like the traditional Chinese. They're not healthy like the traditional Thai. They're not healthy like the Incas. They're not healthy like the ancient Egyptians. So what we find in cultures like the Inuit, people that eat primarily meat-based diets, we find standard American diseases from the standard American diet in those populations. In other words, we find things like heart disease, cancers, osteoporosis, things that we know now are caused by increased animal food consumption. So once a human being eats more than 2, 3, 4% of their daily calories from animal products, preferably 0, but once you go above like 2, 3%, the body starts reacting really negatively. And you start to see these diseases that were not even known in rural China, in rural Japan, in rural Africa. Crazy. But if you're still not convinced, ugali is the staple of Kenya. What we know from Kenya, we know that the fastest, almost the fittest people in the planet, the fastest runners on the planet come from Kenya. And what do they eat? Plant foods. Lots and lots of carbs for you, yeah. Exactly. Ugali, corn, that's their staple. Carbohydrate, rich carbohydrate, sugars, complex, simple sugars, fruit. And also we have millet and sorghum in Africa. Has been a staple for thousands of years. And in the Middle East, barley and oats has supplied their population for thousands of years as well. But if you're still not convinced, so Ohalo II, Ohalo II in Israel is an archaeological site where they found remains of 23,000-year-old. And what they found is evidence of high plant food consumption. So there's also evidence that shows us that Africans, some specific tribes in Africa, subsisted on tubers. So primitive forms of things like yams, things like sweet potatoes. And if you're still not convinced, we have recent evidence that suggests that people living in what is modern-day Mozambique gotten their calories mostly from sorghum. 105,000 years ago. Yeah, but what about Neanderthal? There's been evidence for years now that show starch grains in between the teeth of Neanderthals. But if you're still not convinced, the armies of Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan, who conquered most, if not all, of the known Western world, the known world in the time, had armies that were nearly exclusively plant-based, heavy on the starch, heavy on the fruits. So that means high carbohydrate, low protein, and low fat. It goes even further. Caesar's legions actually complained when they had too much meat in their diet. They actually preferred to do their fighting on grains. And we can even look at the gladiators. So they had the remains of 60 Roman gladiators, so around 1600 years ago. Once we analyzed their bones for strontium, calcium, and zinc, we found that they followed almost exclusively a vegan diet. The gladiators, they were known as the barley men. So the gladiators carved up. The gladiators knew how to carve up. They knew how to win their battles. So they carved up so much, they ate so much barley that they were known as the hordeati, which is Latin for the barley men. So there you have it. That's the old paleo diet debunked. This is the new paleo diet. This is the diet that we've survived on. All of the successful human cultures that ever existed on the planet survived from and got most, if nearly all of their calories from plant foods. Carbohydrate-rich plant foods. Diets high in carbohydrates, low in protein, and low in fat. There it is. That's the evidence. So Lauren Cordain, if you're listening, I'm not telling you what to eat. I'm just showing you the facts. And the facts say that those populations that ate this kind of diet, that ate this carbohydrate-rich diet, plant-based diet, were super healthy, super fit. Didn't suffer from the common diseases that we find in cultures that follow Lauren Cordain's program, the fakeolithic diet program. So make your own conclusions. Make your own conclusions. Do your own research. Don't go by me. So as always, the unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates said this. So if we take this into our own lives, we can apply it to make our lives better. So examine your life, examine your practices, examine your beliefs. May your bananas always be right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for another day, another video. And don't forget to live simply so others may simply live. Peace. Plant foods, lots and lots of carbs for you.